Well, hundreds of women who experienced painful side effects from pelvic mesh implants are set to get compensation for their suffering. That comes after the federal court found pharmaceutical giant Johnson & Johnson did not do enough to inform doctors and patients of the risks involved. The ruling brings to an end a 7-year class action that became one of the largest of its kind in Australia. Joining me now, Justine Watson, President of Mesh Injured Australia. Justine, good morning. Thanks very much for joining us. So what was your reaction to your victory in the courtroom?
Good morning. Well, we've received vindication. I'm not sure about justice, but we did win, and the judgment ruled in our favour. There may be appeals, and the financial settlement won't be discussed until February next year. So we've been seen and heard, but it was a bit of a hollow victory because there's no amount of money or no level of vindication that will give us our lives back.
So is that why you feel there hasn't been justice?
Yeah.
So what happens with damages? What are you expecting?
We have no idea. We really don't. Our American counterparts, you know, they're receiving a lot more in the way of damages because our, legal system is structured so very differently.
How much of a toll has it taken?
It's totally destroyed a decade of my life. It's been emotionally draining, it's been exhausting, it's been very expensive. I've lost career, family, time to enjoy my life. My 40s were spent really, really sick and in pain.
Justine, for those who don't know, can you explain what the pelvic mesh is and what its function was or is?
Sure. Well, 50% of women post-childbirth may experience stress urinary incontinence or pelvic organ prolapse. And the mesh was brought in as the quick fix to help support these areas of the pelvis so that they can function as normal again. So, it was brought in many years ago and has been overused in women as young as their early 20s. And it's made of polypropylene, and as the judge said yesterday in court, this material can shrink. It causes scar tissue and inflammation, and can also migrate around the body. So it has, for some women, been a really good surgery, but for those of us who it hasn't been, it's been catastrophic.
How so?
It causes pain, autoimmune disorders, and all of these things. When you go to a health professional and you put them together and no one makes the link to the implant surgery, then you're dismissed and denied. And in my case, I was referred to a psychiatrist because my doctor couldn't find out what was wrong with me, with the message that it's all in your head, sweetie.
And what did it feel like?
The last 10 years or the implant? I mean, I could barely walk. I started off with systemic illnesses. I got recurrent infections. I was in hospital more times than I was out of hospital in 2013. 2015, I was in bed. 2017, I stumbled across the link and found a Facebook group with some really smart women, and they were all going to America for surgery. So I followed suit.
How are you now?
Look, I'm well, but it's taken an enormous amount of work and a lot of cost at my own personal expense. And, I'm still diagnosed with pudendal nerve damage, and I'm still, trying to get out of the systemic illness issues. I was diagnosed with diabetes and thyroid disease, which just don't exist in my family. So it was all very, very strange and very, very odd. And there's probably a huge cohort of people out there who are being told it's menopause, old age, arthritis, autoimmune, and it may be linked to their implant.
How many women are involved in this class action?
There are around 1,350, but this is only one manufacturer, Johnson & Johnson. So there is another class action in the making, and I'm sure we're going to see many, many more, in the same vein as we've seen in the States.
How much money do you think you've personally invested so far into the legal action?
Not very much into legal action, thankfully, but into my medical bills. You know, it cost me $50,000 to go to America in 2017 to have it removed by the world-leading expert. You know, I see my doctor more than any other woman of my age that I know. You know, the multiple tests, the out-of-pocket costs, the prescriptions, the medications, you know, and what I've lost in my career and my life. You know, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars.
So is that what you would expect in terms of compensation, what you would be after? Would you be after hundreds of thousands of dollars? Would you be after more than that?
Oh, look, you know, and that's not pain and suffering.
Yeah.
How do you put a value on that? And will we see that in this country? I don't know.
So just finally now, Justine, what's the process from here?
I guess we wait and see if Johnson & Johnson appeal, or if they have, you know, a sense of heart, and we'll walk away from this and say, yes, okay, we realise we're responsible for, you know, misrepresenting our products, and, you know, we decide to compensate you women accordingly. It's a wait and see.
Okay, all right, Justine. Well, I'm sorry for the pain that you've had to go through, but hopefully you get something positive out of this eventually. But thank you very much for your time this morning. Appreciate it.